All right. Good evening. It is May 21st, 2024, and the time is 5:30 p.m. This is City Council regular meeting. May I have a roll call?
Councilor Woodruff,
Here.
Mayor Beal,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Here.
Councilor Youssef,
Here.
Councilor Bosman's.
Yes, present.
Excellent. Item 2, introduction of the translator.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Liz Torres y el día de hoy estoy aquí con mi compañero Diego Pons. Estamos aquí de la Cooperativa Comunitaria del Lenguaje y el día de hoy vamos a interpretar esta sesión de inglés al español simultáneamente. Si usted está en una tableta o en un teléfono, usted va a encontrar el menú por los 3 puntitos que lo llevarán al menú y ahí puede elegir el idioma de su corazón. Si usted es bilingüe, no se necesita seleccionar ninguno. Y si usted está en una computadora, va a ver el icono de globo terráqueo y allí puede seleccionar inglés o español. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Liz Torres, and I am here with my colleague, Diego Pons. We are here from the Community Language Co-op, and we are here so that we can interpret this meeting simultaneously from English to Spanish. And you will find the menu at the bottom of the screen. You'll find a globe icon, and you can select the language of your heart. Or if you're on a tablet or on a cell phone, you will press the 3 little dots, and it'll take you to the menu so that you can select the language of your heart. I do ask you to please speak at a conversational pace so that we can provide an accurate rendition of your message. And we can go ahead and turn interpretation on.
Right, excellent. Next up, opening remarks by mayor and council. Does any councilor have any open remarks? Nope. Okay, moving on. Number 4, presentations and proclamations. 4.1, Mayor's Youth Advisory Commission recognition. So we're going to have the Mayor's Youth Advisory Commission come on up, say a few words about the year and how it went. They've worked so hard. And then I have some items, so go ahead.
Good evening, council members. My name is Ethan Dennis. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Commission, along with Yu Sung. This year we had an incredibly successful term. We initiated several projects, including an annual Halloween event in partnership with the Durango Rec Center. We did a Hands on the Van event at Snowdown. We initiated a poetry and art contest in collaboration with Durango School District 9R and the Durango Cowboy Gathering. And we also made a lot of progress with our planning for a Youth Government Day coming up hopefully next year. Additionally, we made progress with a project in publicizing safety initiatives for the Durango trolley system, along with a food drive that is in works with a collaboration with the Women's Shelter. So Yu Sung can maybe talk a little bit about his project with the safety initiative on
Yeah,
trolleys.
of course. So just hearing the experience of a lot of my friends who take public transportation around Durango, I've just been hearing a lot of complaints about the comfortability of the transportation, especially on the trolley. So something I was very concerned about was more specifically targeting younger women's safety on the trolley system. So I took initiative by reaching out to the transit director and talking to her about some plans and ideas I had about the trolley. So one of the ideas was installing, or actually I figured out there were already cameras installations on the trolley system. So what we were able to talk about was getting the message out there that cameras did exist on the trolley system. So one thing we were planning is making posters on the trolley so any potential offenders could recognize that they were being watched on camera. And we were also going to create a Google form, or actually a safety text number that would link directly to the transit security in order to get immediate a line for help. So that plan is currently in progress, and hopefully some of these members who are going to still be at Durango High School hopefully these guys can continue making effort and progress on that one. Thank you.
Willa, do you want to talk a little bit about the poetry and art contest?
Hello, my name is Willoughby Anderson. I'm the co-secretary of MIAC. I work with Ethan, another member who is not here, named Hadley, being the youth liaisons for the Cowboy Poetry Initiative. We reached a lot of students this year, which was incredible. And we're still working on expediting the judging process. We have increased it. We've digitized it, which has made it much faster and much more efficient. And so we're hoping that in the next following years, we'll continue to increase our involvement, especially among younger ages, especially among extremes in either age group, in elementary and in high school.
Great. Sylvie, do you guys want to talk a bit about your?
So, sorry, I'm Sylvie. This year I led the Snowdown event called Hand on the Van. It was targeting youth involvement in Snowdown because I was reading through the events and I saw like 21 plus, and I just thought it would be nice to have younger kids. My sister actually started this event last year, and since she graduated, I carried it on. It was a Mr. Beast inspired contest where kids had to keep their hand on a police vehicle for the longest, and then they won several prizes, and it was a big success this year. We got more kids than last year, and I hope to continue running that event next year.
Do one of you guys want to talk a little bit about the food drive?
Hey, my name's Perry Wright. I was organizing a drive with the Women's Resource Center. We didn't quite get to finishing it. We had a lot of logistical issues with communication. But the goal was to put donation bins at some places around Durango, like the rec center, the library, like city government owned places, in order to collect different items that the Women's Resource Center might be in need of, as well as reaching out to local businesses and specifically like grocery stores like City Market and Walmart, as well as restaurants, in order to obtain gift cards for people at the Women's Resource Center. And we hope to finish building that donation drive next year.
Thank you.
Great, excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. Wait, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Go right ahead.
Okay, awesome. So sorry, I forgot to introduce myself, but I'm Yu-Sung. I'm the co-chair along with Ethan. So one of the future events we've been planning is an event called the Youth Government Day, which is essentially a day where different interest groups, different high school groups can come in to learn about the youth government or ways they can be involved with the local government from the perspective of MIAC members, along with anybody involved in local government. So what we're planning is we are going to split different class groups, such as like our law studies class or government class, maybe some animist government groups, some STUCO groups, and anybody else who wanted to get involved, and just giving them the time and space to both learn about the local government and also give their input on what they want to see come out from the local government, because youth voices are always very special to the community. Thank you.
Excellent. I know Melissa Youssef has been the one working with you mostly this year. I look forward to working with the group next year. I know some of you will be graduated and moving on. I don't know, Counselor Youssef, do you want to say anything?
Sure, I'd love to. It has been such a pleasure working with this group of very active and involved students at Durango High School. I've really enjoyed it. I really appreciated also all of council's opportunity to get to know MIAC this year and work with them and see how all the effort that they're putting in on these projects. I think it's been really a really good year for student involvement here. And what I really appreciated about this group was how hard they worked also at being inclusive and including other students and getting other students interested in this opportunity. I think it's a great access for them to see government in action and how we do our work every meeting and I've appreciated them giving us updates during our meeting. All of the work that they've done. It's just been a really great year. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you participants. I've really enjoyed working with you. And for those who are moving on, I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to be extremely successful in what you guys do. And I hope you stay in touch with us and keep us posted on your, your next events as they go on, and stay involved as alumni to this program. I think you guys have been a really great group, and I just really appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you so much.
And Ben couldn't be here, and so he organized some thank you gifts for all of you guys, including the ones that aren't here. And so you can see their label, male and female, because they're all the gender specific. So you guys can pass them out and then they also have a water bottle which you can grab. You guys can just keep them up. Sorry. And then we want to get a photo. Do you want to with all the council?
Sure. Yeah, let's just go ahead and have you stand
So
up
yeah,
front.
and come up here, and then I'll.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, big smile. All right, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you guys for all your work this year, and I hope we can do that event next year.
Yes.
So keep it on
We'll
the
reach back
radar.
out.
Cool, yes, well, and we'll reach out to you. That'd be awesome. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next up, we have 4.2. Proclamation regarding Durango Buddy Poppy Days. Do we have, oh, excellent.
Hi, my name is Ann Crow. I'm an auxiliary member of the 4031 post here in the VFW post here in Durango. And I really appreciate your support. These poppies are not sold. I'm sure you probably know all about it anyway. But it does support the veterans who make them, the disabled and needy veterans. And it also supports one child per year. I believe it said that they support, it was historically for supporting like a child who was left parentless during war times and stuff like that. So it's really important that we continue to support this endeavor. So thank you so much for your support.
Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and read this and then you can keep it. So Durango Buddy Poppy Days, May 24th through May 25th, 2024. Whereas before Memorial Day in 1922, the veterans of foreign war conducted their first poppy distribution, becoming the first veterans organization to organize a nationwide distribution. The poppy soon was adopted as the official memorial flower of the veteran of foreign wars of the United States, as it remains today. Whereas VFW Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this worthy fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans, widows, and orphans of deceased veterans. Whereas the basic purpose of the annual sale of Buddy Poppies by the veterans of foreign wars is eloquently reflected in the desire to honor the dead by helping the living. Now, therefore, I, Jessica Buell, Mayor of Durango, Colorado, do proclaim May 24th through May 25th, 2024 as Durango Buddy Poppy Days. And I do hereby urge the citizens of the community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to its support by the obtaining of Buddy Poppies on the days set aside for the distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifices of our honored dead. The officers and members of VFW Post 4031 urge all patriotic citizens to wear a Buddy Poppy as mute evidence of our gratitude to the men and women of this community who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
This
Go ahead.
particularly means a lot to me right now. My husband was a captain in the Army, and He just passed away not 4 months ago. So, and the VA and the VFW have been so gracious in supporting certain needs that I have, as his widow. So thank you so much. Appreciate your support.
Of course, thank you. Here's this.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next up, item 5, city manager updates, information only.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I just wanted to follow up with the council at the end of the last city council meeting. There was a motion in regards to the childcare information as well as some innovative ideas on childcare through the past couple of weeks. We did kind of go back and see that we do have a ready grant that the city of Durango has applied for $55,000. That will help in addressing the childcare or coming up with solutions to address the childcare capacity issues. I also did forward on that information on the capacity side that was provided by Ms. Tiffany Chacon, and I passed that on to you all. So I think that I have established that information for the council. However, if there's any more additional or difference, there's always new business where you can direct me further. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Item 6, committee, board, and liaison reports. Anyone, city council?
What we did?
Yes.
Okay. You ready?
Oh, whatever you want.
Go
Good.
ahead.
Okay. Just real quick, I had the Chamber of Commerce board meeting this morning. Jack Llewellyn has officially vacated his role as director as of last Friday. So Kim Euler has taken over as interim director of the organization. She's more than capable, and I'm super excited to see her as an interim capacity while we do a national search to find a new director for the chamber. So that's the big news. There's going to be a legislative recap from state legislative session on the 27th of June. So look forward to hearing how those legislative updates and what has been done to help and our economy. Anyways, I let the board know that we also appreciate their input during the economic incentive policy that we spoke about last week. They were really big contributors to help us refine that policy. So thanks to them and the staff to help make that a reality. I also attended along with Councilor Yazzie and Mayor Buell, the Stronger Together celebration. It was amazing to recognize the fantastic city staff and their hard work. Truly, it's inspirational to see how engaged staff is, even though they really, really enjoy my 4 jokes. So they at least humor me. But yeah, it's really inspirational to see how great of a staff that we have and be able to celebrate that, I think is really important. Gilda and I also participated, and we did business improvement district and library advisory board interviews this last week. And so the good news is that we had a lot of really great candidates. The hard part is obviously then is trying to figure out who's going to be best suited for those positions that have been vacated. So yeah, we look forward to seeing these folks step into their roles. And yeah, it was great to be in those interviews with Gilda. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And I do appreciate your jokes.
You are the only one.
Especially when we run out of stuff to say. I love them. Anyways, on May 9th, I attended the Regional Housing Alliance meeting in Bayfield. And we discussed quite a few different issues, but I don't know if people realize that it's like Ignacio, Bayfield, the city of Durango, La Plata County, and one member at large, that we try to cover all the issues in La Plata County about how we can make attainable, affordable housing more available. So we had member updates on that, and things are going along pretty smoothly. Then, of course, on May 16th, I did the Stronger Together with Dave and Jessica and myself, and I'm always amazed at the quality of the city employees. So thank you very much for all the effort you put out and all the hard work you do for the community. And then on the 17th, of course, Dave and I did the bid interviews. And then yesterday evening, I went down to Cortez and attended the Colorado Municipal League regional meeting. And so we had the opportunity to network with other communities, and also we got a legislative update and we got member updates about what the other communities are doing in southwestern Colorado. And then on Saturday, this coming Saturday, 11 a.m. at Visit Durango, the Peace Run is going to run through the city of Durango. They haven't been here since 2020 because of COVID. So what the Peace Run is they're carrying a little torch running throughout the country and through the world, promoting harmony and peace. So they'll be there at Visit Durango at 11. So if you guys are downtown and you want to come down, I would surely appreciate it. Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have only a short update. I had my office hours today and I met with several community members here. One topic discussed was a minimum wage, which is potentially also part of the solution to affordable living here. The income is a bit higher. Then there was another topic being the next forum or meetings for Malfunction Junction, where we are and where we're going, what the results were for the design study. And then a resident spoke up about where they can go to speak their preferences or their priorities when capital improvement projects are being prioritized. And that's specific to the Parks and Rec in this case. And there was also a request to get an update on the Smart 160 trail progress, where we are at this point, because it's been going on for quite a while. That's my summary.
Councillor Youssef, did you have anything?
I do. First of all, again, so sorry to be virtual as I continue this recovery. Hope to be back in June. I sure miss being there live with you all. So thank you for putting up with my recovery. I was really sorry to miss the Stronger Together gathering for staff. I know that is such an important day of celebration of all the hard work from our staff. So I'm really sorry to miss that. And thank you for the counselors who were able to attend. I'm sure it was a great celebration. I did have the Library Advisory Board interviews with Councillor Woodruff as well. So we'll talk about that further today. And I had the last MIAC meeting, which was a virtual meeting, and we heard from MIAC today. But what a great conclusion to the year from some really dedicated students. And they had some very good thoughts on how to continue to promote the program and continue to bring youth forward going forward. So I just really enjoyed working with them over this past year. And I had the Airport Commission meeting on May 16th. It was a very long meeting, detail-oriented, as Tony started bringing forward the 2025 operating budget. Given that we are approaching June, we're going to look at the 2025 proposed capital projects next month for the airport. But they're really starting to look very carefully at operating needs and all the needs going forward for our projects. So that will be coming forward to council in the coming months. As you all know, 1A is still continuing. They're just finishing the last parts of it. They're working on finalizing things and wrapping up the tailing electrical items, and that should be complete by August. And they're working a lot on 1B and bringing that forward and getting all the funding in place for that. They've had to do quite a bit of work on the FAA grant that was submitted. It was submitted on May 1. It's being reviewed by the FAA now. And they should, I think they'll be running that also through City Council and the Board of County Commissioners when they have a final draft ready there. And then the FAA grant also, they had to do kind of an extension through the Senate and the House to extend the authorization, which will allow the FAA to start clearing this out. So it looks like that will come through probably end of September or into fall. So making good progress on 1B as well. Just wanted to give that update, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, I had the Bridge to the Future ribbon cutting ceremony, which was amazing to see all those entities come together for a project that has been a long time in the making. It was a beautiful ceremony. I was riding in the a car with the director of CDOT, Julie, and she said that she couldn't speak highly enough about working with Sarah Hill with our transportation department. And she said Sarah's like a problem solver and just always a pleasure to work with. So I wanted to give a shout out to Sarah. Yes, because that was amazing to hear. Then I won't repeat what some other counselors said, but I also, I had the Alliance meeting. At the Alliance meeting this time, Tommy Crosby gave a update to the organization about the City of Durango's Economic Development Program, which we approved what we did the last city council meeting. Everyone was so complimentary of the program and just so how innovative it is. So that was great to see that. Senator Hickenlooper's office gave some updates on earmark spending. We had a presentation by the Durango Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, just with their programs that they have going on and different things that they have bringing to not only our area, but just even bigger things that they have going on. We got a update by the Council for Adult Experiential Learning, something like that, sorry. But they're helping us with the Project Run, not us, the Alliance, with the Project Run program, which is helping our workforce develop some really great skills to develop them further here in Durango, rather than having to hire from outside of Durango for some of those higher executive positions. And then we got updates on the future of the Alliance. I'm sure many of you have heard now, but Mike French is stepping down as the executive director. He's had a succession plan in place for a number of months now, and it's the right time. And so Sarah Tober is going to take over July 1st. And so that's very exciting for the Alliance. And yeah, so that was exciting news. I also had a meeting yesterday with a woman who is organizing or is in charge of a program called Foster Friendly Durango. And it's around making Durango a better foster. They're working on specific cities throughout Colorado. Right now, a focus is in Durango and supporting foster families here in Durango, Colorado, because 1 out of every 2 foster families quits within the first year. And so just kind of having different incentives and programs and support for foster families here. It's a pretty cool program that she has going on. So she might reach out or come to city council for public comment. I also, side note, this wasn't really council related, but it was great. Went to the Durango Arts Center this weekend for their youth theater program. Events that they had, and that was super cool. And they do a really great job. It was for 5th to 8th graders, and it was super fun and well organized. So look out for Durango Arts Center and what they have going on. Durango High School graduation is this Friday, so congratulations, graduates. And I'll be there doing the keynote speech. So if you're there, say hi. And I think that's it. All right, moving on. Public comment on agenda items only. Number 7. Play the video.
Public comment is encouraged on specific items published on tonight's agenda. These items will be announced by the mayor. Public comments on non-agenda items come later in the meeting. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak. Please begin your comments by stating your full name, the agenda item you intend to speak on, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, unless modified by the council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to city matters on tonight's agenda. Profanity, hate speech, derogatory remarks, speech unrelated to published agenda matters, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits.
All right. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
We have no one signed up under this section. We do have 2 for the later public comment session.
Excellent. Okay. Moving along. Number 8, Consent agenda.
Item 8.1 is approval of minutes. Approval of minutes of the May 7th, 2024 City Council regular meeting. 8.2.1 is final reading of ordinance 0-2024-0005 for land use and development code text amendments regarding the Fair Share program. 8.2.2 is final reading of ordinance 2024-0006, approving the transfer of Durango Mesa fee title trails to the Durango Mesa Park Foundation in exchange for easements. 8.4 is approval of other administrative items and is a request for a letter to the Department of Local Affairs for the Police Officer Behavioral Health Support Grant Program expiration extension request. 8. No items under 8.5. 8.6, a request for public hearings. 8.6.1 is a request for a public hearing to consider approval of the South Fork Starbucks preliminary plan at 29 Copper Court. 8.6.2 is a request for a public hearing and introduction of an ordinance for an easement for Clear Networks to service the Durango La Plata County Airport. 8.6.3 is a request for a public hearing and introduction of an ordinance for the sale of city-owned property located at 166 East 33rd Street for conveyance of real property. All of those hearings would be held on June 4th, 2024 during the regular council meeting.
Okay, do I have any counselors who want to pull any items or?
Like to remove item 8.2.1.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the the consent agenda as presented with the removal of 8.2.1.
Second.
Excellent. Discussion or roll call?
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef.
Yes.
Okay, item 9, items pulled from the consent agenda. So we have item 8.2.1.
I don't agree to it, so you need a motion. So if someone wants to make a motion, if they support it, then.
I move to approve the land use and development code text amendments regarding the Fair Share program, ordinance 2024-0005.
I second.
Discussion?
I hear regularly and tend to agree that the Fair Share ordinance as written is part of the problem for affordable housing versus part of the solution. And for anyone interested, I provided my detailed comments during the May 7th regular city council meeting, as well as on prior occasions, and I do not support the revised Fair Share ordinance.
Anyone else? Okay, can I have a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
No.
Mayor Beal,
Yes. All right, item 10, we have no items. Item 11, resolutions, consideration of adoption. 11.1, a resolution to amend the 2024 budget. Devin Schmidt.
Excellent. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Devin Schmidt, Chief Financial Officer. Before you this evening will be a resolution to amend the 2024 budget. As council can see, with our fund summary showing our amendments throughout the 2024 year, that there is sufficient fund balances or revenues to cover the amendments before you. Again, with capital, there is sufficient fund balance to cover the request before you this evening. And with that, we will start it off with airport for those projects.
Good evening, Council. Tony Vicari, Aviation Director at the Durango La Plata County Airport. The first project on the list for today's budget amendment is an additional appropriation of $2.5 million for the Terminal Expansion Phase 1B project. Councilor Youssef teed this up pretty well in her update earlier. So as you recall, the adopted budget this year that Council previously approved includes a total of $26 million in expenditures for this project. When those figures were established, which was essentially this time last year through the budget process, we were only at a schematic level design. Since then, as we progressed through full design in 2023, in working with our construction manager at risk on the project, we ascertained that the overall expenditures at that $26 million level weren't going to be quite sufficient to support the overall project. Consequently, fast forward to today, we do now have a final guaranteed maximum price from our construction manager on the project that was established within the last month. And as Councilor Youssef mentioned, has been submitted to the FAA for significant grant support funding on this project. And now that we have final costs established, we're simply appropriating the additional funds to be able to support the full expenditures on the project. The additional $2.5 million will be covered through additional grant funding, as well as some additional unrestricted reserves from the airport fund, which is in a currently very healthy place with over 2 years of cash on hand currently.
Good evening, Council. Sarah Hill, Transportation Director. This is an appropriation request for CDOT's Revitalize Main Street grant that we were awarded to implement a pilot project related to downtown's next step. So these funds were requested from the 2015 half cent fund and were recommended by FAB for council's approval at their May 2nd meeting. Excuse me. We were awarded a grant for $171,040 to install a temporary pilot replicating some of the significant features of the proposed design. There's a local match requirement of $42,760, and we've included a 10% contingency. So that's why you'll see the total amount requested is $235,180. This project is going to allow staff in the community to assess some of the design elements prior to moving the project on to 60% design level. And then all of the materials for the project, aside from some of the paint that's going to be used to install the temporary curb extensions, is going to be reusable in future stages of the project. And the multimodal team has reached out directly to all of the impacted business owners along the corridor who'll be impacted by the pilot implementation. So this grant has been contracted, and if council does approve the appropriation request tonight, we are ready to begin implementation of the pilot.
Good evening, Scott McLean, Assistant Parks Director. The first item we have is a request for appropriation for a replacement snowcat, which is a piece of equipment we use to groom the snow at Chapman Ski Hill. The estimated cost or price that we've been provided is just under $500,000. We have $180,000 in the vehicle equipment service fund that the city has. So the request is for just $316,000 to start with that out of the 2015 tax fund to pay the difference. The existing snowcat we have is about just under 20 years old, a high number of use hours on it. We spent about $50,000 last year on maintenance. We've had an estimate on what it would cost for prior to this next season. It's $100,000. After spending that, we still have a piece of equipment that's 20 years old. We also looked into a lease option. It was just under $400,000 for 5 years. So staff feels like the purchase of a new unit is the best long-term, most efficient use of the funds. The second item we have is the acquisition of Buckley Park. So City of Durango currently has agreement with School District 9R to acquire Buckley Park for $3 million. The park is 1.6 acres. 9R currently owns the property. The city maintains it. And then also is able to use it for special events. We have approximately 40 special events a year there, drawing about 12,000 people to the park for that. Also get significant use just due to its proximity to Main Avenue and a great opportunity for future use, tying the park outside space and with City Hall and the Police Department. Total cost is $3 million. We have 1.5, just under 1.5 in the 24 budget for land acquisition, so using those funds. And then a request to transfer 1.6 million of the $2 million that we had for the Greenmount Cemetery irrigation, which was design and construction. We're currently in design, should have those numbers, design done late summer, fall. This puts us in a position then to reprioritize that project, have some more concrete cost estimates later this year for that. So thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. I'm Allison Baker, Public Works Director, and we have a request from utilities for additional funding for a water outfall from the Florida pipeline, 9-mile pipeline into the reservoir. It will reconstruct the outfall structure and add a magmeter, which is a much more current and accurate measurement device than was previously available with partial flume. The advantages, we save personnel time in running back and forth and manually adjusting irrigation water that goes to Fort Lewis and to the golf course, and automates reports by integrating with our SCADA system, and helps us begin to identify water loss possibilities in the area. And we're going to have Elliot talk about the streets changes on a fund level. So he'll take over from here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me again. Yes, we do have a recommendation in front of you for amendment to the 2019 sales tax fund. There are several project amendments in this. And the reason I'm presenting is we are looking at it more at a fund level than a project level, whereas previously to all the others, we were looking a little bit more specifically at the projects. But as you've been provided in your packet, we do have the outcome budgeting proposal for all the proposals that you've seen prior tonight and all of these. But right now we're just going through the combined 2019 fund amendment adjustments. So a couple projects to highlight: the Durango Mesa Access Road construction. We were able to reduce the budget on that just from clarifying what the project cost would be with the county and the foundation. So we were over budgeting that going into 2024, being conservative and making sure that we would have enough in there. But once we got final numbers back, we were actually able to reduce that budget in our line item, and the rest is being picked up either through the foundation or the county. Another one to highlight, 2024 asphalt OGFC overlay. We are reducing that line item to 0 this year, and that is because we are also reappropriating the asset test and master plan streets assets. So we're in the process of finishing that master plan, and that master plan will help guide us better on that OGFC overlay. So once we finish that, then we can get back into the OGFC overlay. But because we're reducing that, we are actually able to add a project, and that is the 9th Street Mill and Replace Asphalt. So through the studies, through our own driving on it, coming out of winter, that road has degraded a little bit more than we had anticipated with previous studies. So we are bumping up the priority on that to get it fixed sooner, since we do have the budget available with the reduction of OGFC. The rest of these on here are reappropriations from 2023 to 2024 to continue work on projects already started. The only one of those that I want to highlight is the signal repairs and upgrades. That one is a reappropriation, but it does have a $20,000 increase to its budget as well. Just getting into the project on that one, the electrical work ended up being a little bit more than we had anticipated. So that one does have a $20,000 increase. And otherwise, the fund balance, I had a great pleasure of working with Allison to make sure all of these projects were feasible and we were balancing the fund. There are, again, several that we're looking at here tonight, but it is a combined proposal. You do have information on the individual projects in your packet. And with that, here's our recommended resolution for the adoption of the amendment.
Excellent. Thank you for the presentation. Do I have a motion?
That was a motion. I second.
Okay, do I have, sorry. It's like, wait.
So
Thank you.
my understanding of Counselor Yazzi's comment is that she wishes to offer an amendment to the resolution proposed by the administration excluding which item?
The downtown grant that we approved.
21,1,063,349.
So what I understand would be on the floor now that it has a second is a resolution approving all the other recommendations of the council, and then you'll bring a subsequent motion for that one item so you can discuss it.
And Counselor Bosman seconded it. Okay. So do I have a roll call?
Oh, yeah. No,
Can
first, yeah.
can I hear what that motion was again? It was really hazy for me on this end, sorry.
As I understand it, the motion is the one recommended by the administration for all of the budget amendments, less than except for the request for the amendment to the downtown next steps funding, which will be taken up in a subsequent motion after this is considered.
Thank you for that.
The motion I heard is to remove this item only, not a motion to approve the other ones.
No.
Is that correct?
It's just to remove it from the main motion that's being presented.
So the motion that I seconded is just to pull that item as a separate item.
Counselor Yazzie, I interpreted your motion. The floor is yours. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. If I misinterpreted your intent, I apologize, but that's what I heard.
All right, so let me try to clarify. I made a motion the way that Olivier understood. And that was to remove it from the main motion. And then we'll move forward with the rest of these.
We can't discuss it all at one time.
I don't know if it's a semantic thing, but that was my understanding, and that's what I was trying to recapture for you, is that your intent is to move on all the other recommendations minus the one on next steps.
Well, that's not, there's a difference. One is to separate this item and not even discussing at this point the other items, which means if I second, which I seconded, we have two items on this agenda. One item that's split into.
But you can only take.
And then the next step would be a vote and a roll call, and then the next step would be someone makes a motion to approve the other four, another person seconds it, go through the discussion and the vote, and then we have another motion for the one that Councilor Yazzie pulled out of the list. But it doesn't matter. But if this is to support all the motions, I will retract my second.
All I can tell you is that you can only take one motion at a time. So the motion on the floor, as I understand it, is for the recommendations of the administration, less than accept, the one specific item being the next steps funding change.
And am I understanding you correctly then, Mark, that because I'm having a really hard time hearing Counselor Yazzie when she's speaking. I'm not sure if her microphone is on, but in any case, I'm having a hard time hearing her. So am I understanding you correctly that we would then consider that option for downtown next steps separate? Or is that just off under this motion?
If someone brings up, it would be considered separate. I guess a very simple way to explain this is just kind of like your consent agenda. There's one part of it you're taking off, you're going to pass the rest of it and then consider that part separately under a separate motion.
Yes, is that right? Okay. So you made a recommendation that, but city council by motion approve resolution R 2024-003, except for the Durango Next Steps grant, appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies in the amounts for capital grant operating expenditures for the city of Durango, Colorado for the 2024 budget year. Okay. Did you second it?
Not that one.
Okay. Do we have a second? I'll second. Discussion?
Do we need to vote or?
No, first we have discussion on this resolution for everything but Durango Next Steps. We're not talking about the grant program right now. We have a motion for this resolution.
Okay, I think this resolution, with the exception of the grant funding for Next Steps, should be the way we go, because I have some questions on if the Next Steps granting, if the construction is going to be permanent or not, or if it's going to be ripped down or not. But the other items on the resolution, they all seem pretty concrete.
So I'll make my question for staff. So this is about the snowcat for Chapman Hill. So first of all, I love Chapman Hill. Everybody in our community seems to appreciate it. Snowcat, if it's required, I will support that too. My question will be, this is almost $500,000 and only $180,000 comes from the SURF fund, or as we call it now, the Vehicle Equipment Service Fund. And this is despite the fact that in the SURF fund, we had significant funds left and for capital equipment replacement. And we ended, I think it was 2 years ago, transferring a whole big chunk of that money to the IT department, or the IT fund and the buildings fund, with no underlying replacement accumulation for those funds. So we pull out money, and now we're trying to finance a gap or a potential gap for a snowcat. So this is my recurring concern with financial performance and the way we manage the SURF fund, which is now the Vehicle Equipment Service Fund, which we had pulled separated money for out of the account for the buildings fund and the IT fund. So can you just explain a little bit why we are, and you're probably not the best person, but the only one left maybe, how we get to this position? Because the capital equipment replacement, I understand there's maybe not enough accumulated, but that has nothing to do with the replacement.
Yeah. So I worked very closely with Jason Jones, our fleet manager, last year to go through and work on at that time it was known as SURF, now it's known as VES. And what we did is we calculated specific liability from VES to all the different departments for the vehicles that they have paid into it. So the 180,000 is what we have available, what Parks and Rec has paid in for that specific piece of equipment. We do mitigate inflation costs in that fund through the sale of old vehicles, and we have inflation risers in there. I can't necessarily speak to the history of the technology replacement fund and building maintenance fund, but in general, we are pretty confident in our liability to the different departments and what is available for these. This one specifically, it well outpaced inflation for what Parks and Rec was paying into it. And that is why we found the separate funding source of the 2015 fund. And it's something that we're going to adjust going forward. So Parks and Rec will continue to pay into VES for the higher cost going forward. And we're going to look at if we need to adjust our inflation adjuster for the next time it's replaced. It is planned to be a 20-year replacement cycle. So it hopefully will last a significant amount of time. And we are going to keep the old snowcat so that in the shoulder seasons, when it's a little bit rougher to run those, we don't have to run our brand new piece of equipment. But yeah, that is over the years what was paid into SURF or VES for that specific piece of equipment. So that is how we got to that sources and uses of funding.
But it may be easier to say 20 years ago when we purchased the Snowcat, it wasn't $500,000.
Yeah.
Very similar to your presentation earlier, as construction prices have increased. So a SURF fund is you pay into what you think the replacement value is. However, 20 years ago, putting in even inflation didn't count up for the inflation that we're having. So there was a gap from what Parks and Recreation paid in to replace a Snowcat. Would that be?
Yeah, that is
I
absolutely
want to
correct.
just, I have a couple of seconds left, so I want to make my final comment. And I didn't want to put you on the spot because this was before your time. But the SURF fund had excess funds. And even though the argument for accumulating money for a piece of equipment is there, we took money out of that fund and put it in the building and the technology replacement fund. Thank you for correcting that. So we had enough money in it to make any, and there is no link between where that money went to and their replacement accumulation. So this is just an ongoing concern that I have with how we are financially handling these aspects. And I've brought the SURF fund up plenty of times. So in this case, I think the item will pass, but I'm going to vote against it because of the financial performance and transparency.
Okay, any other comments on this? Counselor Youssef, I can't see you, so sorry.
Thanks.
right.
I'm all good. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a roll call?
Counselor Husbands,
No.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the remainder of Resolution R 2024-0031, appropriating sums of money to implement the downtown's next steps pilot this summer to demonstrate and further assess design elements.
Second.
Council discussion.
Alrighty, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so now, most of you already know that I'm opposed to the downtown next steps because I don't think that they take a whole lot of interest in retaining historic downtown Durango. And I haven't heard anything to that aspect lately. But what I'm concerned about is the fact that you're going to put up a pretend next steps just so people can see that. Because right now downtown's pretty disjointed with the bulb outs or the restaurants into the street again, impacting parking. You know, it just looks awful. Thank you.
And you want some information about what the pilot will look like? Okay, yeah, so this grant is specific to implementing very temporary features and materials to replicate what some of the design proposals are, so that we can make sure that the turning radiuses work. We can get feedback from the community about what elements they like or they don't like. And it's all temporary. We have paint that are going to be mimicking the curb extensions and some flexible delineator posts. And that'll kind of help show how safe it will be for pedestrians to cross at the intersections. We're going to be installing some temporary pedlets like the one in front of Fired Up and things like that, just to replicate what some of the design proposals are and get really good feedback for our engineers to move forward and from the community to make sure that what we are incorporating into the 60% design is reflective of what the community likes about the project.
Alrighty, and so is this going to be throughout the summer? Or?
Yeah, so it will be up along the same schedule as the bump out program right now. So as soon as there is approval, if there is approval for this resolution tonight, we are ready to start implementing some of those materials now, and they'll be on Main Street between the 600 and 800 block until probably the end of October.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I would counter that downtown is not destroyed. I appreciate the vibrancy and the decor that the bump outs give downtown. They were a critical lifeline in the pandemic. Having operated a restaurant downtown, that was a pretty critical element for not only my restaurant, but a lot of other businesses that were struggling just to, make ends meet. So I think there was a lot of success in that program, and I think that's why we continued to go down that path to try to make it better. And I think that's way that we show innovative ideas and creative ideas to really support our local independent businesses. And so I think that doing this potential, pilot program, I don't think it harms the historic charm or character of downtown. I think this gives people an opportunity to try before we buy. And we're only going to spend 42 grand to do so. I think this grant is a great opportunity for us to really see, like, what does this feel like? What does this look like? And I think this will hopefully give not only staff really good knowledge beyond just anecdotal. This is what I think it's going to be like, but it also gives our locals a chance to see. It gives our tourists, our visitors from outside markets to come in and be like, oh, man, this is awesome. I really like this. So I counter that. I think this is a great opportunity for us to do something really cool and innovative without harming, I don't even say it's harming anything. It's not even potentially harming anything, but I think it's going to give us an opportunity to really see what does this look like. And it's only going to build on the success of the bump out program that I think is still a vibrant, creative part of downtown.
I think this is always a difficult topic because we are driving through with this Durango next steps. And even though I think everybody will say they will support business, but there is still a very large number of businesses that are very opposed and did so in writing against this design. So that's the first one. And so if it's the community or the businesses, it's I like to represent our community as a whole, including businesses. And I can see that there's a lot of businesses that are not supportive of it. Despite that, we speak here of a pilot program. We do have a pilot program with the current bump outs and the extension on the road in front of, let's call it the visitor center on the other side of the road, where it's flush with the bump out extends to the road versus the other way around. And then some of the designs still are not meeting what we set ourselves for them to meet, which is covered and not obstructing visibility. Currently, you see the covers. So I think it's a pity that we are just keep driving this forward. Even if we get a big amount of grant money, we're still spending a decent amount of money from our city. So it's almost like a no-win situation. Either you leave money on the table or you go forward with something that seems to be contentious.
Oh, to add, if I can, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I just think that this is actually a very worthwhile grant and a very important step in the process of all of the work that we're doing in Downtown Next Steps. We've been talking a lot about this trial period. Really, a big part of it is to look at the turning radiuses. And we've told businesses all along that we would take this pilot program step so that people could actually feel what it is like to drive large vehicles around those turning radiuses and see if it does work. And this was we always said that we would do this as a step in this process to ensure that whatever comes forward has been well vetted by our own residents within our community. We have spent money on this program thus far, and I think that this is a vitally important step if we want to continue to see about the viability of these turning radiuses, especially for large vehicles, our emergency vehicles, our fire trucks, ambulances, things like that. We need to be able to see if it works. And also, I think that while counselors are suggesting it's controversial, we also have written documentation, I believe, from BID that suggested they want to continue to look into this. They recognize that it doesn't have full support, but they have supported continuing the process of investigating the options. And that's what this is doing.
I'll just say, I don't, if you support it or don't support it, I think this step of seeing it and being open to feedback and getting feedback from our community is huge. And that's exactly what we need to do, especially with controversial and where we're getting a little bit of pushback. I do want to thank you. I know that there's been a few business owners that have come out with concerns, and you have gone and met with them and shown them plans and drawings. And all three that I know of now support the project. And so I think that that's great. And so even though a year ago or whenever that was that we got a letter from all those business owners, I do know a few of them anyways. I mean, I haven't talked to all of them obviously, but great. I'm glad you have. That's great. That's great customer service. But I know a few of them have communicated with me that they do now support the project. I think it's a great way for us to visually get our eyes on it and see like maybe if there's components that, okay, we support redoing the infrastructure underneath Main Avenue. We support ADA compliance. We support bigger sidewalks. We support, like, what parts do we support? And then maybe what parts can we tweak to find that middle ground with businesses that, you know, maybe don't support it. And I think that's where we find success. Like, it's not always my way or your way. It's usually like in the middle where we're going to find the most success. I will say, there was a comment made that we just keep pushing this despite people objecting to it. We don't just keep pushing it. The staff is pushing it because of council direction. That since I've been on council, and even before, I think since the bump outs started because of COVID, which was before I was on council, there's been council support for the bump outs. There's been council support for Durango Next Steps. Maybe not unanimous, and that's fine. Everyone can have opinions and we don't have to all agree on everything, but there has been council support to go forward. Staff isn't just like bullheading this forward to bullhead it forward. So I just wanted to clarify that for the public. Does anyone else have? Yes, okay, 3 minutes is a second.
3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
And I was just actually going to make that point. This has all been council driven, you know, again, it hasn't always been unanimous, but this has been driven by at least 3 folks on city council, even before my tenure here. I will also say that I forgot to mention at my board liaison appointment report that the chamber, the bid, and the city are all working together to create a more robust input from business owners and building owners and operators to through a survey to really get more engagement from that specific subset of community members to really make sure that the business community has an opportunity to say their piece. That I think the original survey that came out, it was only like 6 or 8% of business owners or building owners that were able to give input on that last survey. So they're really trying to bring a renewed focus to ensure that they have a voice to this survey process. So just something else to kind of be on the watch out for.
Would say, thank you for bringing that up, because that's something that I would like to say for anybody who's listening. If you go to engage.durango, oh no, I'm going to mess that up. engage.durangoco.gov. There's a live survey right now that is getting input from people on very specific elements of the design. So, you know, we are going to be working all summer to get more robust feedback on that. Don't tell Clancy.
Yes, yeah, everyone needs a.
All righty. Well, thank you for all the comments. I do appreciate it. But I'm still hearing a lot of opposition to the downtown Next Steps, because some of us who do have a historic view of Durango, who've been here a long time, appreciate the quaintness and the old time feel of downtown Durango. And putting in these foo-foo designs, it destroys the atmosphere. But I do think that going ahead with the surveys, you know, as we all know, the city of Durango pushes forward on unfunded projects. And this is what this project is. It's an unfunded project. We're spending money on design efforts that we don't have the funding for. And I'm just looking at the fact that we're going to have to pay for, you know, a major project right down the street here. So I just want us to consider the fact that we're spending money that we need in other areas. But thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it.
I have one last question, sorry. Triggered by Councilor Yazzie or Mayor Pro Tem, I should get used to this. Is there any indication on any construction costs even ballpark high numbers and you can be off 50%?
That will be a product of the 60% design level. We'll have a cost estimate once we get to that stage.
Do you think it would be more than 50 million, more than 100 million? No idea.
I wouldn't dare to guess at this point. Yeah, I don't know.
Is there anybody who has thrown out a number?
We aren't taking guesses. We want to wait until we have an actual cost estimate from engineering.
Because I am equally concerned about we do all this work and keep moving forward. And then we had the meeting on the financing of the city services offices today. So there's a lot coming, but thank you.
And I'll just add one more comment too, if we're all making our second comments, is that one of the things I really appreciate about what staff is, designing in this, bringing forward in this design process is improved accessibility. As someone who is walking around right now on crutches and has been for a long time, I've also spent a lot of time walking up and down our sidewalks in our community, in our downtown especially. And I absolutely recognize the need for better accessibility, ADA access ramps, wider sidewalks, just safety, long-term safety considerations for pedestrian access, bicycle access, all of that kind of stuff that goes along with this project, which I think is something that, that is extremely important to consider in addition to all the design aspects that come with it. But that accessibility for all members of our community, I think is important to maintain and keep up to date in our community. It hasn't been addressed in a long time. I think our sidewalks are in desperate need of repair down there. So I just want to add that to the conversation.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a roll call?
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
No.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie.
No.
All right, next item, 11.2, a resolution to adopt the 2024 strategic plan for the city of Durango.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Devin Schmidt, Chief Financial Officer, and I am pleased to provide you with the 2024 strategic plan for consideration this evening. The strategic plan is more than a guiding document. It directs our resource allocation and the delivery for outstanding services for our entire community. So at the council retreat on March 6th, staff proposed the revision to the mission statement to be we provide outstanding services and experiences for the entire community. Also at the retreat, staff proposed the revision of the vision statement. That's hard to say. And this statement is a multi-generational community, which is authentic, diverse, engaged, thriving, and environmentally responsible. And also at the retreat, the staff did not request any changes to the core values developed in 2017, as our city staff connects and embodies the core values still today. So those values would remain as teamwork, dependability, professionalism, service, respect, innovation, and well-being. So this plan is a product of diverse perspectives and contributions from the community members, businesses, council members, city staff. It shapes our city's budget and work plans for the next several years. And it's a testament to the significant impact we make when we can work together. The stakeholder feedback reached 3,000 households by way of the community survey. 97% of the workforce completed the employee survey. And the total focus group participants we had was 869. So this is the framework for the strategic plan and the operating plan. As we move into the next sections of this presentation, we will focus on the high-level goal areas, taking a deeper dive into the objectives, which are the strategic plan measures, where we're looking at 3 to 5 years high-level statements of what is to be achieved with no start or end that are constant throughout the plan. Should council adopt the strategic plan this evening, this will set as the plan and guide for the operational plan, which staff will develop. This involves deciding what needs to be done to achieve our city objectives and goals, and this short-term plan will be developed through 2024 and ready for implementation in 2025. So the 2022 strategic plan goal areas are the goals of the city council reflected here on the left. On the right, staff has proposed for city council to consider, and we'll take a deeper dive into each level. I did want to take a quick moment to note that mountain range that you are seeing is Parents Peak, and wanted to send my appreciation to Catherine Lehman for her great work in developing this plan. So the council may also note that on the far right there, we do have strategic workforce development listed. Since the retreat, and based on the SWOT analysis from the city council, staff added strategic workforce development, and which is going to be really looking at investing in the comprehensive training programs and career development opportunities. This goal area aims to build a resilient and adaptable workforce. The goal area underpins the strategic development of our human resources, ensuring alignment with the city's long-term objectives. And you'll hear more about that later on the presentation from Bonnie Kling, our Human Resources Director. So diving into our first goal is organizational stewardship. This is currently financial excellence, high-performing government, diversity, equity, and inclusion, environmental sustainability, and resiliency. So the staff reviewed these three goal areas, and due to their nature and key infrastructure and foundational processes in the organization that serves as our framework for success and innovation, they've been moved into organizational stewardship, which is to be carried out by the most senior leadership in the city, which is the city manager's office. This further aligns with the integration efforts for diversity, equity, and inclusion, environmental sustainability and resiliency, operational excellence, and financial sustainability. Condensing these three goal areas into one goal area will allow for the best resource allocation, considering the three areas together. So the definition for organizational stewardship is address the key infrastructure and foundational processes in the organization that serve as a framework for success, ensuring the organization has the resources and approaches in place to support strategic and operational focus. This goal area ensures the integration of organizational efforts and critical factors for short-term success and long-term sustainability. The only changes in this goal area, as I mentioned prior, is removing any workforce component, since that has been broken out into its own goal area. Within this goal, we have three strategic objectives. The first is to ensure financially sustainable and innovation-led framework that thrives on building effective partnerships to alleviate city costs, harness the power of technology for efficiency. 1.2 is to foster strong community group partnerships through effective communication and a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusivity efforts while focusing on increased accessibility of services for underserved communities. 1.3 is to advance a systematic approach toward environmental sustainability through focused efforts to conserve resources and mitigate environmental stressors by meeting or exceeding local and state or national standards. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Scott Shine.
Evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, Scott Shine with the Community Development Department. I'm pleased to be able to provide a quick overview of the Innovative Housing and Economic Development Strategic Plan Goal, which was previously the Affordability and Economic Opportunity Goal. This goal and the associated objectives clearly define and establish three aspirations for our organization to pursue over the next 5 years. This language begins to build a framework for how we will, one, develop a variety of housing options to support a multi-generational and mixed income community, two, stimulate economic progress, and three, preserve and enhance Durango's distinctive appeal and competitive edge as an attractive community. As you can see, innovation and partnerships are at the heart of all these statements. Additionally, the principles of equity, opportunity, and accessibility underpin all of these statements. I want to point out particularly in the housing objective that we've been intentional to include terms such as multi-generational, mixed income, narrowing the gap between income levels and affordability, and a variety of housing options to ensure that the specific activities that will be developed under this objective will cover the entire spectrum of housing needs, and that the housing needs will be coordinated with other economic and social programs that enable people to thrive. Activities underneath this objective may touch on everything from more market rate housing to transitional housing, from tiny homes to new apartment buildings, from rent restricted units to workforce ownership opportunities, and from the unhoused population to teachers, firefighters, service workers, and police officers. So the whole spectrum can be addressed under that overarching objective. The way this goal and these objectives are worded allow us to be agile in responding to the dynamic housing and economic needs of our community. They state, and I'll just read them in whole. Cultivate innovative housing solutions and partnerships to advance the development of a variety of housing options to support a multi-generational mixed income community by narrowing the gap between income levels and housing affordability. Secondly, stimulate economic progress and resiliency through strategic collaboration, nurturing entrepreneurship and supporting business growth through well-designed city services and programs. And last, preserve and enhance Durango's distinctive appeal and competitive edge as an attractive community by engaging in community-driven planning, strategic infrastructure investments, and partnerships between the public and private sectors. Pass it on to Bob Brammer, Safety and Quality of Life.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. I'm Bob Brammer, the Assistant City Manager. So I'll get used to that one. I have the honor this evening to present to you, the council, our new goal, which used to be enhanced livability and sense of place, and it's now being renamed and proposed as safety and quality of life. This particular goal focuses on emergency services such as police, fire, dispatch, code enforcement, and emergency preparedness, as well as library, parks, recreation, and culture. As you'll notice, the wording of this goal is much more specific and clear to the overall intent to provide services related to safety and quality of life. And safety and quality of life goal, the definition for this is it focuses on fostering a safe and vibrant community by ensuring the continuous enhancement of police emergency response and code enforcement services. This goal area emphasizes the importance of sustainability, culture, artistic, literacy, and recreational programs that meet the diverse community needs and the ongoing stewardship of parks, trails, and natural lands to enhance the community's quality of life. And the council will also notice that there's slight changes to the objectives as a result of the council feedback that we received during the retreat and during the SWOT analysis. And those strategic objectives are as follows. 3.1, ensure the seamless operation and continual enhancement of police and code enforcement, 911 communications, and contracted emergency services to advance public safety measures and cooperative emergency preparedness to reinforce community trust, to reduce targeted crime rates, and enhance the overall sense of safety. And 3.2, provide sustainability, inclusive arts, literacy, culture, and recreational opportunity by listening to the community's diverse needs. And 3.3, continue the ongoing maintenance, preservation, and acquisition of quality parks, trails, and natural lands. And up next is Sarah.
Right, Sarah Hill, Transportation Director. I'm covering our infrastructure goal. As it's currently adopted, it is effective infrastructure network. And our revised proposal is reliable infrastructure and community connectivity. It is an ambitious goal in that it covers all of the strategic objectives for transportation, the airport, IT, and public works. When we began talking about the revisions to this goal, we actually started with the very first word, which is effective. And we didn't feel that that really did a good job of capturing what our intent and service delivery is for this infrastructure goal. So after some wordsmithing, we decided that reliable does a better job of capturing our intent because it encapsulates a lot of our priorities for service provision, like dependability, consistency, and equity. So secondly, we took a look at the responsibilities of our 4 departments and the services that we provide. And we felt that it's important to call out connectivity as the common thread of all of our departments and services. While infrastructure network does cover a really important piece of our responsibilities, the missing piece and the strategic goal was our commitment to connectivity. So now you'll see that it focuses not only on traditional projects that you would consider infrastructure, like our capital improvement program or asset management, although you will find those incorporated here. But it also has a focus on connecting our community to services and providing connectivity literally. So the current goal has 14 separate objectives that are sometimes redundant, often read like an operating plan. They have a beginning and an end time frame associated a lot of the time. So we wanted to really pull back and look at this goal more strategically. With feedback from the ELT, we came up with these following 6 objectives, and I'll also read these. Provide consistently safe, reliable, and accessible mobility and transportation services throughout the community. Invest in transportation and infrastructure systems that maximize safety, mobility, innovation, accessibility, and user satisfaction. Uphold a continuous, high-efficiency system for managing water, wastewater, and stormwater systems that adhere to strict compliance with environmental regulations. Maintain and enhance DRO's status as the key regional hub for aviation services by delivering safe, efficient, and sustainable airport operations and promoting a competitive airline environment. Provide resources supporting maintenance, expansion, and ensuring reliable and secure IT infrastructure management. And lastly, continue planned expansion of city surface transportation system and maintain existing assets within the right-of-way. Turn it over to Tom.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. Tom Sluice, Public Information Officer for the city. I am filling in for Clancy, who is sick tonight. So our 5th strategic plan goal is engaged and informed community. Although the lead on this really is the PIO, as well as Clancy with community engagement and the clerk's office, this really is a departmental effort, and it's going to require everybody to successfully, I think, carry out this goal. So currently it is engaged and collaborative governance. And so we made a couple of just slight updates to it. Our first intent was we wanted to change the focus a bit on what happens before the actual collaboration takes place. So what we did is we changed that to, within that context, to emphasize having an informed public. And we think that by doing so, that will lead to better engagement as well as ultimately better collaboration. And the second update that we had was, instead of governance, we chose to have a more softer, more inclusive verbiage, essentially, that's going to better reflect our customer base, which is really the community at large. So there's not a radical difference here between what we currently have, but we think we just have updated it to, I think, help further our strategic plan goals. So when we include these changes, the definition we now have for engaged and informed community is that it will is dedicated to creating a vibrant civic culture by championing systematic approaches to community engagement, education, and outreach. EIC is focused on cultivating effective communication channels that offer open and accessible information, thereby empowering residents to be actively involved in community affairs and contributing to well-connected and informed citizens. So within the strategic goal, we really had 2 main objectives that we're trying to accomplish. The first one, in a nutshell, is how best do we serve the entire community? And the way we do that is we champion a systematic approach where community engagement, education, outreach, and communication thrive as cornerstones of civic involvement. And hopefully that will allow us to cast the net as wide as we possibly can and get some of the underserved groups maybe that have not been as adequately represented as they should be. The second objective is really how do we build trust within the community? And we do that by cultivating and leveraging our communication systems through convenient, open, and accessible information. Next.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bonnie Kling, Human Resources Team. As Devin mentioned, we added a sixth goal area for y'all tonight. We added the strategic workforce development. This goal area was added to ensure an appropriate focus on our workforce to enable our organization to deliver on all other goal areas mentioned tonight effectively. This goal area will focus our efforts on maintaining us as an employer of choice in our region by focusing on our workforce development, culture, and career progression of city staff. The definition tonight is strategic workforce development is dedicated to enhancing the skills, capabilities, and satisfaction of Durango's employees by investing in the comprehensive training programs and career development opportunities. SWD aims to build a resilient and adaptable workforce. This goal area underpins the strategic development of human resources, ensuring alignment with the city's long-term objectives and immediate operational needs, thereby strengthening the foundation for sustainable growth and innovation. The objectives under this goal area, 6.1, foster a workforce culture designed to attract and retain diverse, skilled, and engaged staff members, which enhances employee satisfaction, engagement, and performance by offering environment reflective of the city's commitment to excellence and strategic alignment. 6.2, ensure a comprehensive career progression strategy that readies employees for key roles and leadership positions in alignment with the city's long-term goals. And 6.3, facilitate workforce preparedness through management of city's processes, capacity, and capability, ensuring optimization of staff skill levels designed to meet operational needs and evolving municipal demands.
And with that, we do have a recommendation that City Council approve resolution R 2024-32, adopting the 2024 strategic plan for the city of Durango.
Before that motion, I just want to thank the staff, the ELT, the managers, the supervisors, all the employees that we got involved in putting together this strategic plan. It definitely was hundreds of hours of time. And I think you're starting to see, or you are seeing, what it is to have an engaged workforce that we've seen in a belief in mission, in the things that we got above national benchmarks in municipalities. And you're seeing that all come to work with the belief that the staff has in placing together this strategic plan. And then also obviously working in partnership with the city council at the retreat. So I couldn't be more proud of the staff that we have, and just a great team, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Excellent. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve resolution R 2024-32, adopting the 2024 strategic plan for the city of Durango.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. Council discussion.
I'll make my little comment. I thank you for the presentation, and I do know that there's a lot of effort by staff to work on this plan. And there's definitely positive aspects to the approach and the structure of the strategic plan. But during the retreat and over time, I want to just repeat that there are several items that I feel strongly about that are no longer clear or improved in the strategic plan. Topics such as the transparency, community engagement, and financial performance. And specifically, I just wanted to mention this, that the homeless topic has been removed, as if there is no issue for the homeless population, nor any impacts associated with it to our community. So I think we can do a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Knowing how little work that council put in, even though it was just a little bit of work, but it still felt like a lot of hours of sitting there and really going over all the time and effort and the weeks of putting forth effort into this. I just want to say that, I really appreciate all of the work done by staff to really hammer out these details. Cause this is not just like, this is what I think and we're gonna, move on for like this. There's a lot of intention behind this. To address the unhoused, I feel like it was mentioned, it was actually mentioned specifically, but in 1.2, and I quote, while focusing on increased accessibility of services for underserved communities, I think that is really putting a spotlight on every community. So I think it's important to note that there. Also, all of number 2, I think Scott did a really good job encapsulating what mixed income, minimalizing the gap and all income levels and what that means and how we're going to tackle some of these issues head on. So I feel like it was spoken out, and Scott even said unhoused, so as part of unit or that number 2. So I think it's really important to notice that we aren't kicking the can down the road. This is more about how are we going to do this, and also be reflective of all of our constituents. The fact that we are able to pass budgets every year that really kind of, budgeting for outcomes. It's a really good way of looking at it. And if you don't pass a budget, like some other counselors here hasn't passed one single budget yet, that it really goes to show that, man, when you pass a budget, that's how you move the needle. And I think it's really important that we continue to do so. I'll also say that some other counselors voted against a warming shelter, but now want to put it inside of our strategic plan after voting against something, and then also voting against the Best Western Hotel conversion for 120 units. That's really going to move the needle on a lot of affordable, attainable housing for not only some of the unhoused, but also some of our workforce. So I really want to make mention that, man, we're really moving the needle here. And I think this is a lot of great work that was put into this and a lot of time and effort. So thank you so much.
I would also add, if I can, is now a good time, Mayor?
Yes. Yes, sorry.
I also want to thank the staff for their efforts in putting this forward. I think it's tremendous improvements from where we started. It did incorporate direction from council, and just, I get disheartened when I continue to hear the same words of transparency and community engagement, especially those two, because I think that our staff has done a tremendous job at being so transparent and making every effort to be as transparent as we can on our, through our communication channels, through our website, through our agendas, to communicate what we're doing, when we're doing it. The community outreach through our Durango Engages we've been able to capture so much more diversity in our input that we're receiving, which I sincerely appreciate. And the financial performance also discussion there. I mean, I think that we have shown tremendous strides in improvement in our financial performance. It's obvious from the awards that we are receiving, from our budget to our strategic plan to our reporting. It's really been impressive, the work that our finance department is doing. And so I just wanted to add those comments as well. And I agree with Councillor Woodruff on the comments regarding homelessness. I do think that some of the efforts that we are making as far as working towards attainable and affordable housing have been some of the strongest efforts I've seen from any council that I've sat on in my time on council. So I think that you are right, Councillor Woodruff, in the fact that when we move these forward and we move these plans forward and we do approve budgets, and we continue to push forward, that's how we do our work. We, one step at a time, one project at a time. That's what we're working towards. And I really appreciate staff's efforts. So I want to thank you as well.
Yes, this final project appears a lot better than the first strategic plan. So I'll give you that much. I do like the way it's set up with the 6 areas, and the way some of the paragraphs are read are actually quite good. But I do recall being at the strategic retreat, and the items specifically, like diversity, I wanted that defined and changed. I wanted like a mention of people of color, but I can tell that the city council is so transparent that they don't see that. They don't see any multiculturalism is what I wanted in this plan. And every time I mentioned that at the retreat, it was like, oh, let's don't look there. So even though this is a better product than the first strategic plan, I don't think it's acceptable.
I'd be interested to see like exactly, because I remember talking about that, and I'm going through and looking, and in every single section it says things like communities' diverse needs, and like, did you I feel like calling out a specific separate item is what I didn't agree with, because I thought it should be everywhere. Like it should be mixed in with every single objective, is what I thought we were talking about when we were discussing it. I don't remember shying away from anything specifically like that, but maybe I wasn't reading the room right. I will say, I think, okay, first, thank you so much for your hard work on this, for staff's hard work on this, because I know it was a huge joint effort. In terms of a couple things that have been highlighted that they're missing: community engagement, financial transparency, diversity, equity, inclusion. I would say that when I first got onto council and we were looking at the strategic plan, there was not any community engagement, or very little in there. There wasn't any, I remember talking about outreach to the public and wanting to increase that, because I felt like we weren't doing a good job getting our message out and what we were doing. I think we've really stepped it up there and are changing, and I love the informed, engaged community. I love what Clancy's doing. She sent me an email last week about some ideas on how to even do it better and get out in the community more often. And I'm super excited with some of the ideas that she has coming up in the next couple months for that. And so I love how our team is really pushing when we say that we're setting like innovative housing. That wasn't even in the strategic plan at all, and until a few years ago, and we brought on Eva, and because we thought it was like a really important goal. And same thing with informed community, we bring on Clancy, and so I feel like the organization is really seeing where we're wanting to go in terms of diversity, equity, inclusion, in terms of homelessness. Like I feel like those things are throughout the plan as well, that they should be. I suppose that if there's specific things that need to be said specifically, maybe counselors can come up with ideas that like, this is exactly what I think we should do for it. And then you can see if there's council support for it. Because I don't like the fact that counselors keep saying that it's not reflective of what we want, when it is reflective of the council as a whole, even if we don't agree maybe with one counselor. I think I love this version of it, how it's much more focused and palatable. Like I understand it. It's not, I feel like the last strategic plan was so many words, so many great words. They were great visions and great things, but it was a lot to digest. And so I like how this is, and it's down to like specific items that we can actionably execute. And so I'm excited to see the progress we make in the next year to 3 years.
If I may, Mayor and Council, Devin, can you go back to the part where it talks about the 2 different processes with the dotted line? I don't know if this will help, but when you look at first at the strategic plan, it is really that 35,000 foot view of the objectives. We are now going to move into the operational plan, which is a plan that accompanies the strategic plan, but that's the one that gets more specific with actual tasks and objectives that we're looking to accomplish. So I do think some of the things that are there, you're going to see more of those details as we look in that operational plan that actually talks specifically about specific objectives and key things that we're looking to accomplish underneath each one of those broader objectives. So the objectives are intentional to be broad because there's going to be an operational plan that's going to follow underneath it. That's going to actually lay out the specificity of some of the things that we're looking to address that I think you'll see that have been called out in more detail. It's just, it's a little bit of a bigger picture now. Then staff works on to that more specific details, which we're working on right now as we speak.
Okay, anything else? All right, can I have a roll call?
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
No.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
No.
All right, moving on. Item 12, first reading of ordinances, consideration of adoption and public hearing. Can I have a reading of 12.1?
12.1 is a public hearing and first reading of an ordinance for an easement for La Plata Electric Association to service the Durango La Plata County Airport, submitted by Community Development.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, Daniel Murray, Development Services Manager. This is a public hearing and first reading of an ordinance for a utility easement at the Durango La Plata Airport. So we see some context here. This is the runway, and then the area in red is the proposed easement. Zooming in closer, this is the entrance to the airport. So you see that's where the roads take various directions based on where you're trying to go at the airport. And then that same image on the left side shows the easement dedication area, essentially, which is outside of the road on both sides. They'll be trenching and boring to install this easement here at the entrance to the airport. This is an electrical easement. The process thus far, it went to introduction of ordinance at your previous hearing on May 7th. Here we have a public hearing and first reading of the ordinance. And then ultimately there'll be a second and final reading 2 weeks from now on June 4th. The strategic plan goal in its old form was effective infrastructure and network, which is now reliable infrastructure and community connectivity. And this project will expand and update existing utility infrastructure at the airport. We have received no public comments thus far, and staff is recommending approval of the first reading of the ordinance to create an electric easement at the airport.
Excellent. I will open the public hearing. Do we have any?
No one has signed up to comment on this item.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Do we have an ordinance number for this one yet or not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-XX to create a La Plata Electric Association utility easement at the Durango La Plata County Airport.
Second.
Excellent. Council discussion? All right, can I have a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Beal.
Yes. All right, can I have a reading of 12.2?
12.2 is a public hearing and first reading of an ordinance for land use and development code text amendments regarding minor updates to the floodplain program and other code provisions, submitted by Community Development.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Lily Oswald with the Community Development Department as the Code Reform Administrator. Before you tonight with some additional Land Use and Development Code text amendments. These ones are regarding very minor updates in nature to the city's floodplain program provisions and other code provisions in the Land Use and Development Code, also known as Chapter 27 of the city's municipal code. These Land Use and Development Code text amendments apply to the financial excellence and high-performing government, as well as the environmental sustainability and resilience objectives in our existing strategic and operating plan goals. The proposed text amendments are a little bit deeper within your agenda documentation tonight, but the 5 sections affected are outlined here. The first 2 were proposed and requested by FEMA, and they came to the city just after we had already incorporated and considered and adopted the updated flood insurance rate maps and flood insurance studies. So unfortunately, it wasn't conveniently wrapped into those updates. They've given us a deadline of mid-July to have these incorporated within our code. So we're advancing these very quickly in an effort to wrap in a couple other very minor grammatical updates and clarification updates. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th sections in here are affected, and those include deleting a word from the accessory dwelling unit section to ensure consistency with other things council has incorporated recently. Standards for motor vehicle and heavy equipment related uses. This is correcting some grammar, punctuation, and then fixing misnumbered references. And then the common open space priorities, we are deleting a duplicate listed item there. The definition that we're adding would be only in regards to floodplain administration, and that is for new construction. And that language is provided by FEMA. And again, that first one is adding language just to clarify on-site waste disposal system placement for new construction within the city in regards to flood hazard reduction. City Council held the request for public hearing during the May 5th meeting. May 21st tonight, we have the public hearing and first reading of this ordinance. June 4th, we're anticipating council's second and final reading of the ordinance. Barring any changes to those dates, these text amendments would go into effect in June, and that would be prior and meeting the deadline of July by FEMA. The review criteria for text amendments is in section 6313-3 of the Land Use and Development Code. They are listed here, and staff finds that these proposed amendments meet all applicable criteria and again, are very minor in nature. We have not received any advanced public comment for these text amendments. The Community Development Commission held a public hearing on April 22nd and considered these text amendments and offered a unanimous recommendation of approval. And there's a recommended motion provided on this slide for council, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Excellent, thank you. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone signed up?
No one has signed up, Mayor.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the ordinance to update chapter 27 of the City of Durango Municipal Code with the finding that the proposal complies with the criteria for text amendments as described in the City of Durango Land Use and Development Code.
Second.
Excellent, council discussion? All right, do I have a roll call?
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Beal,
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 13, public comment on non-agenda items. Can we play the?
Public comment is encouraged on city-related matters. Matters of international political controversy, ideological or religious beliefs, or individual conviction are outside the scope of this forum. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak. Please begin your comments by stating your full name, your city-related topic, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person unless modified by council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to city matters. Profanity, hate speech, derogatory remarks, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits.
Excellent. Who do we have?
The first person signed up to speak is Janine Schmidt.
I'm kind of new to this, so, and I come from a position where I get hacked a lot, so I was wondering, do you have a written budget and stuff where you can provide the community?
So we typically don't respond from the dais per this, but if you chat with us after or contact us, I'm happy to show you where the budget is and stuff.
Okay,
Yes.
that sounds good. Thank you. And I like what some of the people spoke regarding the community strategic plan and stuff. I am concerned of a lot of the building, the housing so much building of low-income housing, and it's needed, but then at the same time, so much of it driving the housing prices up, for driving the rental prices up for people that do not get assistance, that do not fit into a category, and driving up the cost. A lot of our motels and hotels being converted to low-income housing. And so it's driving up the cost when you travel and stuff. And then bringing up the concern that these investors, they invest in the low-income housing and then they own it outright in 10 years and do not have to use it for low-income housing anymore. So at what rate, I'm curious on what rate investors get properties compared to what the public pays for the same property. And so I'm just kind of curious on budget stuff like that. And yeah, and looking to get involved in, is this the agenda in which you submit questions the day before or concerns the day before, and they're here for transparency and it brings up here, or is there a format in which the public can talk prior to and understand it better?
So this is the 3 minutes for public comment where the council won't
Okay.
respond to you. There are plenty of avenues for you to communicate the questions that you have. This is just not that
Okay.
forum.
Okay, I just didn't know if this was the format in which, is there a prior meeting?
After this meeting, I'd be happy just to chat
Okay.
with you for a little bit and help you with some of those questions.
Okay, thank you.
The next person signed up had issues putting their name on the iPad and asked that we just ask for a citizen to speak.
Was it Sweetie? Okay.
Sweetie is also signed up as well, but there was one other additional person.
Did anyone else sign up? It's all staff. It's all staff in here besides you. There you go.
My name is Sweetie Marbury and I am a city resident. I have two issues tonight. I attended the study session today on the 205 sales tax reauthorization, and I'm very excited to learn the nuts and bolts of that presentation. As council goes forward, I would like to see a sunset calculated into the ballot so that everyone knows when this is going to expire. And also, I would like to see a new advisory board to oversee the projects associated with the 205 sales tax. Because when I attend the Financial Advisory Board, they are asked to comment, absorb, and make decisions on too many capital projects. They oversee basically 3 boards that were eliminated. And other citizens dedicated their expertise and their time and studying those projects. So I would like to see a new advisory board, because I believe that oversight by the public is a plus in transparency. Second, granny flats, and I'm always going to come back about accessory dwelling units, cannot be attained in EN 2 and 3 without eliminating lot sizes. I've come to City Council for 4 years asking for this land use code to be changed. Multi-generations, and I heard that word tonight under innovative housing, cannot be successful unless lot sizes are eliminated in EN 2 and 3. Empty words don't build accessory dwelling units. I hope City Council will really get serious with this new strategic plan to help families build accessory dwelling units. I'm very keen to have grandmothers and sons and daughters and grandchildren living on the same piece of land. But in EN 2, for example, the minimum lot size is 7,000 square feet. In EN 3, you have to have 7,000 square feet. In EN 1, it's only 5,000. So started this program in 2014. It's time to make some changes that are really will make a difference to families in Durango, because we all talk about workforce housing, we talk about families, we already have our infrastructure in EN 2 and 3. It's logical to eliminate lot sizes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone online?
No one additional signed up.
Excellent. All right, moving on to, there's nothing under item 14. So number 15, other new business. We'll start with 15.1, appointments to City of Durango boards and commissions.
We had a couple of interview teams that included counselors and chairs of the board or representatives of the board. And we are open to whatever recommendations those interview teams are ready to make.
Melissa, you want me to jump in and yeah, talk about ours? Melissa, sorry, I'm caught unprepared here. Yes, thank you, Gilsa.
I was on the bid board with Counselor Woodworth and Carly, I can't remember her last name, Thompson. And we interviewed, I think, 4 or 5 excellent applicants. And the selections we came up with were Colin Carver and Susan Taylor to serve on the bid board. So those are our selections.
Excellent. And remind me how this works. Do we need a motion to appoint them? And then a second? Okay, yeah.
That's correct.
Do you want to make the motion?
So I make the motion to appoint Colin Carver and Sharon Taylor to serve on the bid board.
Second.
Council discussion? All right, can I have a roll call?
Counselor Bosman's.
Jose.
I normally abstain because I just saw the resumes and I had not participated in the interviews, but in this case, I didn't choose to be on the interviews. So I'm gonna just maybe change approach and say yes.
Wow.
So that's a yes vote.
Yes, a long one.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff.
Yes.
All right, the next one, library.
Yes, Melissa and I conducted interviews for the Library Advisory Board along with Karen Pontius, who is an existing member of the board, and we unanimously agreed that Marta Martinez Evans was going to be reappointed for another 3 years on the Library Advisory Board.
Excellent. I need a motion.
Yeah, I move to appoint Marta Martinez Evans to the Library Advisory Board.
Second.
Council discussion? All right, roll call.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, any other new business by counselors? Okay, moving right along, requests for excused absences. Okay, and number 17, we have executive sessions. What we're gonna do is we'll read each executive session. We will vote to go into that executive session. We will do that 3 times, and then we will go into executive session for the amount of times that it is approved. And we're going 1 time. Does that make sense? I'm just kind of laying out how it's gonna work. Okay, great.
If just a request, if you will, if you're intending to exclude me, then I
Yes,
hope that you can do it now, so I don't sit
in
around.
public, yes. Okay, so 17.1, do I have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion.
Wait, yep, there you go. Got it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I make a motion to receive legal advice on specific legal questions regarding litigation filed by John Simpson versus the City of Durango, with the exclusion of Counselor Bozeman regarding client attorney privilege.
So I'm going to have you redo that one more time. We have to read every single little dot, like everything.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's when we got legally in trouble by Mr. Roan. Because we didn't read, so literally you have to read like every little CRS 24. So if that's okay,
Alrighty,
if I can have-
okay, well, thank you for that clarification. I make a motion to receive legal advice on specific legal questions.
Wait, we
pursuant
have to-
Convene in
Yeah,
ex-
you have to say convene to executive session.
Oh, okay, you have to say to convene, sorry. You have to- Well, but we have one thing, to convene in executive session. Okay, and to receive. Sorry.
I make a motion to convene in executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-402 parenthesis 4 parenthesis B parenthesis concerning litigation filed by John Simpson, specifically Simpson versus the City of Durango, E-Law 2023 CV 30146, filed in La Plata County District Court, with the exception of excluding Counselor Bosman regarding concerns maintaining attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Council discussion?
Yeah, I'll make my comment here because, and I'll make it once because the three will be the same. It happened 2 times already that 4 counselors decided to exclude a counselor from an executive session without justification, but because they feel like it. And this seems just likely will be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th time. I find it very disturbing that counselors can exclude a counselor from an executive session at their own choosing or liking, because every counselor is elected, is representing our community, and should be well informed to be able to make good decisions. If counselors believe there is a conflict or concern with another counselor, they cannot just exclude that counselor at their liking, but should go through the proper process, a process that is fair and legally sound. What if other counselors just don't like another counselor's race, gender, or sexual orientation and exclude that person? The actions that this council has already taken twice, and likely to do again, is just not democratic nor correct at so many levels now and for the future. I have considered a lawsuit against the city, the other councilors, and potentially the city attorney for his potential advice to the other councilors on this topic, but I've decided not to at this point. Our city already faces so many lawsuits, threats of lawsuits, and friction with external parties that I do not wish to add to this, even though I strongly believe the injustice to our community. And I had requested information on all the lawsuits with the city, including threats of lawsuits and a clear insights of all the costs we incur on those things, but I have not gotten good information to date, not very transparent. And I also believe that there are or will be people that pay attention to what is happening here and the injustice taking place to this democratic process. And if anybody in our community or any attorney has the energy to sue the city, I will certainly share my thoughts and concerns, given that I have expressed these already to all involved in a public setting. In the end, this is not only about transparency and upholding your fiduciary duty, but in this case, that you are actually held accountable for your actions. And on a separate note, executive sessions are informational only. But it has happened before, and I have previously expressed concerns that in a way decisions are being made during those sessions. And I'll explain this a little better with an example. During executive sessions, there is discussion about either making a formal decision afterwards in public on pending lawsuits, or not to do anything in the public meeting. But if by doing nothing, in reality, a decision is made. Because if behind closed doors, there is discussion about settling a pending lawsuit or disclosing certain information, and the agreement is made by counsel that they do not wish to settle or disclose that information, it results in no formal decision being made during the public part of the meeting. And the consequences, or in practical terms, the decision is that it will proceed to court. So there's multiple issues here, and I hope people pay attention to that because it's not what we should be doing.
Any other comments? Okay, a vote, please.
Counselor Bosman's,
No.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef.
Yes.
All right, 17.2, do I have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to convene in executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 2464024B concerning litigation filed by John Simpson, specifically Simpson versus the City of Durango, E-Law 2023 CA 0622, filed in La Plata District Court.
Second.
Oh, what?
I withdraw my second.
You want to amend it?
Oh, with the, oh, sorry. You guys are looking at going, "Ugh." With the exclusion of Counselor Bozeman regarding concerns maintaining attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Excellent. Council discussion?
It's funny how well you all prepared are.
The mayor and the mayor pro tem make sure that we're on the same page when it comes to motions. And how the meetings run. Can I have a roll call?
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
No.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie.
Yes.
Excellent. 17.3, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to convene an executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 2464024B concerning litigation filed by John Simpson, specifically Simpson versus the City of Durango, E-Law 2022 CV 30112, filed in La Plata County District Court, with the exclusion of Counselor Bosman's regarding concerns maintaining attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Council discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
No.
All right, we will convene an executive session. It's like I'm out. All right, we're back. The time is now 8:18 PM and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Jose Madrigal, Gil Diazzi, Jessica Buell, Dave Woodruff, Mark Morgan, Melissa Youssef, and Nick Poppy. You're good. For the record, council met in executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-402 AB concerning litigation filed by John Simpson, specifically Simpson v. City of Durango et al. 2023 CV 30146 filed in La Plata County District Court, and to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024B concerning litigation filed by John Simpson, specifically Simpson v. City of Durango et al. 2023 CA 0622 filed in La Plata County District Court, and to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024B concerning litigation filed by John Simpson, specifically Simpson v. City of Durango et al. 2022 CV 30112 filed in La Plata County District Court. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask you to state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute the proposed settlement agreement for cases 2023 CV 30146, 2023 CA 0622, and 2022 CV 30112, subject to any minor corrections by the city attorney.
Second.
Council discussion? Can I have a vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie?
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff?
Yes.
Counselor Youssef?
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's is absent. Mayor Buell?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Hi.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Yes.
Good job.
No.